If any of you are new to the 80-10-10 diet, is becoming more and more popular now because of a person on YouTube by the name of Durian Riders. And they're promoting this diet as pretty much the holy grail of diets in that it can eradicate your health problems. And they are always talking about how wonderful and great and awesome the diet is, without ever giving the other side of the story. So I decided to create this video to share what other people have said about the diet that ran into problems, because a lot of that is not being told over YouTube, over forum boards, etc. So listen to some of these reviews on 80-10-10 before you decide to embark on such a diet, because it's always best to have both sides of the story before you just jump into something without having a pretty good understanding of what to expect. So from Mary L. Donnellan from Enon, Ohio, she wrote, "The book is full of bad science, poor knowledge of animal behavior, and just plain silliness." That was written January 7th, 2009. Another by Annette Moylan from Roland Park, Kansas. "Before you buy this book or give it any credence, look up T.C. Fry. T.C. Fry died at a fairly early age of 70 with terribly rotten teeth and blood clots in both legs. Pay attention to who this author has as his hero. Besides, I believe his theory of diet will cause a lot of future health problems for those following it." And that was written September 24th, 2009. Here's another by Tonya Dowell from Calgary, Canada. "This is bad science and the worst diet ever. Any reputable raw food health retreat, Hippocrates, Tree of Life, Optimum Health Institute, etc., will immediately take you off all fruit to heal your body. If you have candida and parasites, this diet will make it worse. Ryan Clement states that a true diet will provide abundance in health and healing. People that have catastrophic diseases would die by following this diet. We have raw food people dying of cancer because of a high fruit consumption diet. The true raw food diet speaks of wild and the least hybridized of foods is what we should be eating. Fruits are the worst culprits for hybridization. What man has corrupted will corrupt in your body. Our bodies are not designed to heal with the higher sugar content that man has created in fruits." And that was written April 14th, 2009. Here's one by Helen from California, United States. "I never thought of the raw vegan diet as a fad diet. I used to make myself believe it was a lifestyle, a community of people determined to achieve high levels of spirituality and physical health. I felt so lucky to have discovered the wonderful path of enlightenment, the true fountain of youth. I realized there was something wrong with the raw vegan diet when I started seeing acne on my face for the first time in my life. About 6 months into the diet, I was also feeling extremely weak. I blamed the nuts and seeds I was eating. That's what they tell you in the raw world. About 4 weeks ago, I decided to read the 80-10-10 diet book by Doug Graham, despite having read the most controversial reviews on the diet. After being a raw vegan for about 1.5 years, I realized it was not working out for me. I wanted to do this for my health, and that's exactly what the raw vegan diet promises. I was a vegetarian first. What was wrong with it? Eggs and dairy. So I went vegan. Why wasn't it working? It wasn't living food. Then I went raw vegan. Too many nuts and seeds. Needed more carbs. So I went low-fat raw vegan. It seemed like I was always doing something wrong. And indeed I was. I have a vitamin D deficiency as a result of my vegan diet experiment. I would also notice other symptoms which I would attribute to detox from time to time during that period of time. Many health professionals would alert me that perhaps a vegan diet was not the best option for me, but I would refuse to listen to the advice of the brainwashed, clueless, money-making medical community. My latest blood test results indicate a severe vitamin D deficiency and low levels of vitamin B12. I would sometimes look at Durian Rider's YouTube channel, but I kind of always felt like there was something off about him. His face looked pale, he would use destructive criticism, and he never accepted anyone else's opinion as valid. But anyways, I decided to give the diet a shot and joined 30 bananas a day. I got tons of fruit and was resolved to do everything in my power to do the things right this time. I started doing almost everything the 811 diet book recommends. Eating enough calories, drinking tons of water, eating a bunch of greens, getting enough sleep, except for the exercise due to my lack of strength from the deficiencies. So there I was, switching again from one diet to another one that claimed to be the best and promised health, just like all the others did too. Of course, as long as you strictly adhere to their guidelines. With every diet change I made there seemed to be a common denominator. There was always a honeymoon phase, in which I felt great, but somewhere down the line, weeks or months, that feeling started to fade away. I stopped eating the nuts and seeds way before I got the book, and this time proceeded to eat only fruit and veggies according to 811. 1 week into the diet my husband had lost a tooth. Unfortunately, he was eating the same way I was. But we didn't link it to the raw vegan diet. 3 weeks into the diet I started to experience the most terrible tooth sensitivity, which I never had before either. I also experienced other symptoms such as weird fat cravings and mood swings in that short period of time. I would read other people's posts on 30 bananas a day on the same topic, and pretty soon I noticed that those people were practically being told that they weren't doing anything right. Of course, it's always your fault, not the diet's. I started to see a pattern here. The cherry on the cake was when I opened a discussion in one of their forums on whether or not it is possible to achieve health on a different diet, and the moderator made it so no one else could reply. So I started researching about other people with teeth issues on a raw vegan diet. This was a really hard thing for me to do. I didn't want to open the can of worms behind my oh so perfect raw food diet. I had been in complete denial up until that point, and didn't know how I was going to handle the inevitable truth. I found a whole bunch of stories and testimonies. You just need to look at their main page and you can see that at least every day somebody complains about the same issue. In fact, there's a very popular forum especially dedicated to this topic, where most people get told how they're pretty much doing everything wrong. If someone experiences weight gain or weight loss, they blame it on detox symptoms. If they experience weakness, they're not getting enough calories. If they have teeth issues, they need more grains, and so on. Everybody struggles trying to eat the unreasonable amounts of fruit in order to get enough calories, and constantly complain about several other issues. Gosh, if this diet is so strictly restrictive, how can someone not see that there's something fundamentally wrong with it? The raw food diet just doesn't work in the long run. It's my own experience what has led me to see things differently. This is why I would like for other people, especially raw foodists, to try to see beyond what they might be looking at right now, because no matter how thin you slice it, there are always two sides. I once was profoundly convinced the raw vegan diet was the best thing in the world, and did it for a year and a half. I am not saying it is not the right thing for people on a moral or spiritual level, since these concepts are totally subjective, but I encourage everyone who's been having some type of issues on this diet, or who is even considering to give these diets a try, to do some serious research, and keep an open mind. Having been a devoted raw vegan, it was very hard for me to accept some criticism when it came to my diet. Nevertheless, my nature is to never conform, and to always keep searching for answers. I mean, how many times have we said or done something, and later on we realize that it wasn't right? I know it's not the best feeling in the world, but it is sometimes necessary in order for us to grow. I do not recommend any diet in particular. I just feel a moral responsibility to share my particular experience, hoping others will benefit from it. Vegetarian, vegan, raw vegan, fruitarian, or hygienist diets are dogmas, and following any of these diets strictly for a long period of time is simply insane and extremely dangerous in many different ways. Here's another one from D. Jones of Cleveland. This was written on May 18th, 2010. I read the book 2 years and dug into this diet with gusto. At first, I felt fantastic. I lost more weight than I needed to, felt energetic, skin looked great, etc. Over time, I developed what I now realize was hypoglycemia, resulting in an inability to sleep at night, irritability, unstable energy levels, brain fog, etc. At first, I thought it was a cleansing reaction, but after 1.5 years, I now know it was due to the ingestion of mass quantities of raw fruit. I also suffered from severely dry skin due to the near total absence of fat in my diet. I kept trying to make the diet work for me despite increasing exhaustion, inability to concentrate, and a strong sense of malaise. I thought for sure I must have a thyroid problem, but tests proved otherwise. Finally, I took a leap of faith and began increasing the fats, primarily coconut oil and butter, and proteins, fish, turkey, and chicken, in my diet, particularly breakfast, and immediately began feeling better. My skin is softer and more supple, my hair thicker, my energy more stable, my mood much more pleasant, etc. I still feel I am recovering from this diet as my sleeping woes have not completely vanished, though they are greatly improved, and my digestion is somewhat impaired as my system didn't have to digest much of anything for so long. In summary, I feel this diet is great as a temporary cleanse, but it is potentially damaging if attempted as a permanent lifestyle change. The notion that this diet can nourish a physically active person for a lifetime is absurd. I especially regret following the diet while pregnant and breastfeeding. Though my son is healthy, he has had several food intolerances, and I struggled with a low milk supply that improved once I added more protein to my diet. Bottom line, tread carefully and be aware that you will develop nutritional deficiencies on this diet. And here is another from Northern Lights 2281. I read the 80-10-10 book cover to cover and joined many forums online based on this diet and lifestyle. I lived it for 2 years and followed it 100% as I am an all-or-nothing kind of person. Before starting this diet, I was an avid hiker and a very fit, extremely healthy young adult who only ate whole organic foods and never any refined or processed foods. Fast forward to today, and I'm recovering from osteoporosis. I am only 29 years old, and 12 spinal fractures due to malnourishment because of this diet. I kept losing weight to the point that I was down to 71 pounds, and I am a 5'3" female. No matter how much fruit and pounds of greens I ate with that fruit, my weight kept dropping. I spent most of the time with excessive amounts of hyperness after a large fruit meal, to major downs where I was anxious, paranoid, and crying. I figured all this was normal and was just detox, as the 80-10-10 community likes to call it. Yes, I had those benefits that they all talk about getting from this diet, like the no body odor and the glowing skin due to getting out in the sun and getting a sun-kissed glow, not the actual diet. But what I realize now is that I had no body odor because my body was basically shutting down to the point that I was no longer having menstrual cycles, so of course I didn't even have the hormones to produce such odor. I did this diet because I was brainwashed into thinking all other food other than fruit, tender greens, and a small amount of whole food fat was toxic to my body. I am still trying to get over the fear of putting protein and fat in my mouth. But since I have started to eat raw dairy and grass-fed humanely raised animal proteins, I am finally healing the damage that the 80-10-10 diet left me with and was not fixing. After 2 years of tearing the cartilage in my chest over and over again just by shutting a door or lifting a bowl, this diet left so much inflammation in my body to the point where it could never heal itself. Please do not make the same mistake I made. I had looked for a diet to get rid of my depression as I refused to use drugs, and this book makes this diet seem like the holy grail and all our illnesses will be cured if we follow such diet. I now know better. The only thing this book was good for was it made me get my vitamin D levels checked. After reading 80-10-10, I got my vitamin D level checked and it was at a level 6, where ideally we should at least be at a level 50 or higher. My depression was due to the lack of the vitamin D, yet I continued the diet for the next 2 years, and now I'm even more depressed because I am trying to heal my very painful back fractures. If you are looking to this diet to fix your current health problems, please make small changes first that may be the biggest culprits to your problems, such as refined or processed foods and sugars, along with things that we may think are healthy but could be causing intolerances that you weren't aware of, such as gluten. Also, get your vitamin D levels checked, as the medical community is finally linking so many illnesses and symptoms due to deficiencies of this oh so important vitamin. I wish you all good health, as this is what we are all striving for when we embark on these diets. Just please be cautious. And here's another one by A. Payne. Direct quote, "Studies have shown that our immune system often reacts to the introduction of cooked food to the bloodstream the same way it does to foreign pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi. The body literally attacks the food, sending an army of white blood cells to do their job. This phenomena, which has been linked with the eventual development of AIDS, does not occur when we eat raw foods." What? Okay, so before you think about buying this book, you need to know that Dr. Douglas N. Graham is not practicing MD. Rather, he is a chiropractor. Yes, that's right. He graduated chiropractic college in 1983. So this book is essentially one man's opinion on how we should be eating, with zero science backing up his claims. Most of his facts that he refers to are not cited. Even the facts that are cited are mostly outdated and are only used to bolster his own opinion, rather than providing any substantive evidence to support his claims. Is it any surprise that this book is self-published? That is why it is so expensive, and riddled with countless mistakes, citing errors, grammatical, spelling, and just plain ignorant and short-sighted information. I have not tried the 80-10-10 diet. I bought this book because I was extremely curious about it and wanted some serious information and scientifically supported claims to help me understand how to better my health. I made it through about 60 pages of this book before I simply couldn't take it anymore. I would advise everyone to skip purchasing this book. There is no useful information in it. Read Good Calories, Bad Calories by Gary Taub for some actual facts about what to eat.